Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you how to mix a stack of vocal harmonies. We're going to be tackling a group of vocals today, or a stack of vocal harmonies, but before we dive in, if you're ready to take your vocal mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your EQ strategy, then I have just the thing for you. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and it's just a simple PDF that's going to walk you through how to EQ your vocals step by step to help you get polished and professional sounding vocals without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and take a look at these vocal harmonies. Let me start, of course, by playing you this little passage in the song here. You probably recognize the song. Again, I'm banking on it not getting taken down for copyright, but we'll see here. So I'm gonna hit play. You can hear the finished mix for this song, and then we're gonna jump into how we're balancing these vocal harmonies and how we're getting them to work together as a stack. So here we go.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word, gasping at glimpses of gentle true spirit. He runs, wishing he could fly high, only to trip at the sound of goodbye.
So you can hear there's 4 distinct vocals going on, and we have a fifth one, or a different part, that comes in later from the 4th vocalist here. So we have 4 different vocalists singing one part, right? So it's one vocal line, but made up of 4 different vocalists. So we have 4 distinct harmonies, and I want to show you how we get all of those to work together and come together to be one distinct vocal part, because it's not like we want to hear all of these different vocals going at the same time. You want them to work together as one package here to create one vocal part that you listen to the whole song, not listening to individual harmonies here. So we're going to start down here at the low one. Now the trick to getting vocal harmonies like this to work together as a package, for me, is to treat them all individually first. So get them all to work individually in the song and then tweak them all together as a package. So I want to make them all stand alone first and then get them to work as a package. So we're going to hone in on the low harmony here and take a look at this. So here's just the low harmony with the guitars.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Hovers nearby, awaiting a word.
So if we go through on this vocal, you can see I'm kind of treating it like it was a lead vocal here, right? So I'm doing my EQ on it, getting rid of these nosy frequencies here in the mid-range, rolling off all of this low end here. When you're dealing with a stack of vocals, it's very, very important to make sure you're not having a bunch of frequencies build up in the bottom end here. So on this vocal, I didn't need anything below 200, so I'm rolling off everything below 224 hertz here. Again, pulling out the nosiness here in the mid-range. Even though I'm treating it like a lead vocal as I mix each of these individually, I have to keep in mind, or you'll have to keep in mind as you're mixing vocals like this, that you're going to have to pull out a little bit more than usual in the mid-range or in the high-mid area, because that stuff will build up over time and you could end up with nosy or muddy sounding vocal groups. And then boosting lots and lots of top end here to get that nice air on the top of his vocal. And I like to boost that into the compressor here. You could see one more time if I hit play, I'm doing a lot of compression here on the vocal. So I'm mixing it as if it were a lead vocal, so really evening it out, because I want to have volume control over all of these vocals individually and then be able to balance them together so one's not jumping higher than the other. So take a listen and look at the compressor here.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word.
You can see I'm doing that 10 dB reduction there on our biggest note, and then maybe 3 dB reduction on some of the smaller pieces here. But I'm clamping down on these bigger notes, so there's nothing that's jumping out on one individual vocal here. And then, of course, de-essing afterwards.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word.
De-essing is another thing that's important, and you're going to have to go a little bit more than you usually would on an individual vocal, because again, S's will build up across vocals like this. So it's better to maybe pull out a little bit too much S on one individual vocal as you go along. It's kind of the opposite of when you're working with one vocal. When you're working with one vocal, it's better to pull out a little bit too less of S. That was a weird way to say that, but it's better to keep more S in, because it's always going to be less S than you think when it goes to streaming or whatever. But here with a group of vocals, it's a little bit better to go too far, because then altogether it'll sound like normal S. So that's our low vocal here. We're going to skip this high one because that doesn't come in till a later individual part in the song. Here's our middle vocal, or our low middle vocal here.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby.
You can hear each of these vocals so far will stand on its own inside the mix, and that's the goal. Each vocal has to work by itself before it can work with a group, and then we can tweak it all as a package. So same kind of moves here, rolling up to almost 200 here, leaving a little bit more in on this one. On the low one, I wanted to take precautions so we didn't have anything that was too low if we hit some bigger notes there. And then pulling out some of this low mid area and some of the mid range here to make sure it's not too nosy and none of these frequencies build up as we stack vocals in. And then of course, pushing lots of top end here on these vocals. I like to push into the de-esser and into the compressor to get that nice beautiful air and to keep it even and present throughout the mix here, because with just guitar and just a stack of vocals, you want to hear that pretty air up on top. And again, one more time, you can see how much compression I'm doing.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby.
Doing that 7 to 10 dB reduction like I would on a lead vocal to make sure this vocal's in one place and it's going to sit really, really nice with our other vocals. So let's listen to the two we have so far. Here's the low and the low mid vocal.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby.
You can hear how evenly they sit together now. So one's not jumping out in different places, right? Like we have this one here that jumps out on this one note. Nothing's jumping out, everything's staying even, and everything's moving together. That's the idea here. So we'll mute these guys here. Here is our high mid vocal. We're getting pretty high here, even though I'm saying a high mid vocal. These parts up on the top are pretty high.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, waiting a word.
That's a pretty high part there. You can hear struggling to get up to some of those notes. That's okay though. We have plenty of vocals here to make sure everything's working together as a package. Sometimes you'll have, little pieces in some of these vocals that may not work by themselves. That's okay. The goal is to try and get them to work as best as they can by themselves, and then everything comes together as a package. And you can see we go all the way through with all of these vocals here. So we're getting way up here with some of these vocals, at least singing wise. But you can see we're doing the same kind of thing here, rolling off that mid range, and because it's a higher part, we need less of that low end area, pulling out something a little bit higher here in the high mids, because as we get higher, we're going to have some frequencies that ring out in some of the mid range areas. Boosting that top end again to get that nice pretty air, pushing into our compressor here, same 1176.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby.
Doing that same 7 to 10 dB reduction, and then of course our nice de-esser on the end. So pushing that air into our compressor and into our de-esser. So that's our high mid one. Let's put all three of these together. You can hear how they work together.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word.
So they don't all necessarily have to sound great by themselves, right? But once you put them together as a package, they're sounding pretty good here. So moving on now, we have our high vocal here. So we'll mute these guys so far. Here's way up on the top now. Same kind of treatment here. We're way up there now with the vocal. Pulling out some mid-range here, boosting our top end and getting rid of all that low end. We're sitting pretty much above 200 hertz on all of these vocals because we don't want all that build up there. But you can see we're using a gentle slope, 12 dB per octave there. Same kind of compression, 7 to 10 dB reduction on those bigger notes there, keeping it really even, and then using our de-esser to smooth out those S's a little bit more than normal. So now, let's throw all of our background harmonies or our harmony vocals in here.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby, awaiting a word. Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty space inside. Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty space inside. Heartlessly helping himself to her bad dreams, he worries.
So now we've got a stack of vocals that we balance together because we mix them all individually. Because we got them to sit individually with our compression and our EQ, they're nice and even. We can balance them out together now. So nothing's moving around, nothing's jumping out when we don't want it to. Now, we've got all our levels set. I like to do a little bit of tweaking on the bus here. So you can see all these harmony vocals are sending into the vocal bus. Doing a little bit of work here. And a little bit more de-essing as well. So the EQ here on the bus is a little bit more subtle. But you can see, because we rolled off all the low end on each individual vocal, I'm adding a little bit back here overall. So I can set everything where I want it, or maybe go too far with some of these vocals and then add it back on the group bus so I can put it right where I want it here. Making sure our low end's not too crazy here with another high pass at 80. Like I said, bumping that low end area or low mid about a dB. These are all subtle moves here, pulling out about a dB at 300 hertz, some of that mud there. Pulling out a half a dB at 800, and then adding a little bit of mid-range back here with a half dB at 1.5K. So take a listen to this. I'll A-B the stuff on the bus here with and without the reverb here for you.
Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty space inside. Helping himself to her bad dreams, he worries. Did he hear a goodbye? Or even hello?
So the reverb is just the usual CLA plate reverb I'm using. So it's a 2-second plate reverb with a 152 millisecond pre-delay. So the pre-delay is pushing the reverb after all of our vocals, because even more than with a regular vocal, you don't want the reverb sitting right on top of your vocal, because it's going to create some muddiness and some heaviness. It's going to fight with your lead vocal. Here it's even more important because we have a stack of vocals. We don't want to stack the reverb on top of it. I'm going to push it a little bit after so you hear the vocal, then you hear the reverb. That gives you some clarity and reduces any kind of muddiness that's going on. And then after that, rolling up all of the low end here, so we're at 364 hertz with our high pass filter on the reverb, and then rolling off just a touch of the top end here. We're up at 10K, but these are 12 dB per octave slopes, so being gentle with it, but not going too aggressive, right? We don't want to roll off all the top end, but just tuck some of it back so maybe the S's aren't jumping out, or we're not getting really, really breathy with our reverb here. So take a listen one more time here. All of our vocals in now, and we'll A-B all of the processing here for you across the board on our vocals.
Helplessly hoping her harlequin hovers nearby. Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty space. Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty space inside. Wordlessly watching, he waits by the window and wonders at the empty space inside.
So if you have a stack of vocal harmonies that you need to balance together, that you need to mix together here, the key is working on each one individually first. So processing each vocal as if we're working by itself inside the mix, then coming to your bus later and tweaking all of them together. So a little bit more EQ, you can see subtle moves here, and a little bit more de-essing to push everything together as one single vocal part. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to level up your vocal mixes and really start perfecting your EQ strategy, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my ultimate guide to vocal EQ, and you can download it below to start creating more professional vocal mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.